Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Shri Radhe Jayo Radha Damodara Shri Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadra Jayo Gauranita Jayo Gauranita Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Gurudev Jayo Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol श्री श्रीराधा कालाचंद जी भगवान की जय श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस पूर्व्यास जखयाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस पूर्व्याचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सदान सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरिराज गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्री श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की श्री कार्तिक मास की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Thank you, Prabhu. Happy Diwali. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Sri Srinatha Kalachandji's temple, and this is our morning program, and today is a special day. This is Diwali. So happy Diwali to everybody. And even if you're not staying for the class, please come back at 8:45. We have a wonderful Diwali feast for everybody. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll do the prayers together. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Okay, we're continuing with our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. We're on chapter 25 today. The chapter is titled The Glories of Devotional Service. We'll do text 1 through 11, and our focus was for today is text 10. So, let's start. Can somebody read the translation?
Sri Shanuka said, although he's unborn, the Supreme Personality of Godhead took birth as Kapila Muni by his internal potency. He descended to disseminate transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race.
So we were reading about whom in this canto? Devahuti and Kardamamuni, and therefore Kapila Dev. But then who's speaking here? We've gone back, where is Shaunaka Rishi sitting?
Naimisharanya.
Yeah, they're all in Naimisharanya. That's where it all started, right? The sages are there in Naimisharanya. They're performing a huge fire sacrifice for years together, and their body is lustrous. Is that how their body was? No, it was covered in black soot. It was not really helping them. So then Suta Goswami comes, and then they start asking questions to Suta Goswami. So when they ask the question to Suta Goswami, then Suta Goswami thinks of another conversation that's happened, right? Whose conversation is he thinking about?
Maitreya.
Yeah, Vidura and Maitreya, right? Hey, the same question was asked by Vidura also. So this is how Maitreya Muni gave this answer. Like that. So he has finished speaking about Kardamamuni and Devahuti. Kardamamuni in the previous chapter has left home. Right? Devahuti initially had 9 daughters, but Kardamamuni was about to leave home, but then Devahuti had a request for Kardamamuni that you're leaving me, I've been with you for such a long time, but unfortunately I've not taken advantage of you. Because Kardamamuni was an exalted personality, he has seen Krishna face to face, not an ordinary thing. So when he was about to leave, she asked him for one more request. Please give me what? He asked?
Someone who will instruct her?
Yeah, a son, but specifically he said fearlessness. Please give me fearlessness. This is the duty of a husband to a wife. For anybody who's taken shelter of somebody, is the duty of the person who is giving shelter to the person who's taking shelter to give them fearlessness. So then, which meant when he left, according to Vedic tradition, the wife is taken care of very nicely by the son of the house when the husband leaves. So then they have a child, and this was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Krishna himself came as a son to Devahuti and Kardamamuni. And we have read about this specific thing that Shaunaka Rishi is saying in a few classes before. Rupanuga Prabhu spoke with this, about how Krishna's birth is not ordinary. This is very important for us to understand. You know why?
Because Krishna says, if you understand my nature and activities, you can go back to Godhead.
Yes, this is something that Krishna directly wants us to understand. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Krishna says, no? So this is very important for us to understand the nature of Krishna's appearance, the nature of Krishna's activities like that. The Vedas say, ajayamano bahuda vijayate. One who is unborn is taking many, many births. Right, which might be really confusing. So the Bhagavatam explains very nicely. So we've seen that before. So that's the context. Now Kardamamuni has left his home, and now the rishis want to know more. They didn't want that episode to stop there, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself was born. They want to know what's happening there. Okay, let's continue. Text 2.
Shaunaka continued, there is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. no one is more worshipful or more mature yogi than he. He is therefore the master of the Vedas, and to hear about him is always the actual pleasure of the senses.
Yeah, this is the actual pleasure of the senses, is to hear constantly about the Lord, always, right? That's what's going to give us actual pleasure. Because as spirit souls, we have this quality. What is that quality, It's called Anandamayo Bhyasat. We are constantly searching after pleasure. We are pleasure seeking. That's our very nature. And the only thing that's going to give us pleasure is always hearing about Krishna. Srinvatam Svakata Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hridayantasto hiya Badrani. Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. The Bhagavatam says. Okay, text 3.
Lord, please precisely describe all the activities and pastime of the personality of Godhead, who is full of self-desire and who assumes all these activities by his internal potency.
Yeah.
Sri Shuddha Goswami said, the most powerful sage Maitreya was a friend of Vyasadeva. Being encouraged and pleased by Vidura's inquiry about transcendental knowledge, Maitreya spoke as follows.
Yeah, so he's going back, Shuddha Goswami, like he's always done before. He will say, hey, Vidura asked this question to Maitreya. So he's going back to their conversation now. Okay, text 5.
Maitreya said when Kradama left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the stand of Bindu Sarovara to please his mother Devahuti.
Yeah.
When Kapila, who would show her the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Devahuti remembered the words Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kapila as follows.
Do you know what Brahma told Devahuti? Yeah, your son will cut your knots of ignorance, she said. Brahma said to Devahuti. So now she's remembering that and she's trying to take advantage of Kapila, who's right before her. Okay, text 7.
Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance.
Your Lordship is my only means of getting out of this darkest region of ignorance, because you are my transcendental I, which by your mercy only I have attained after many, many births.
Okay. Text 10.
You are my supreme personality of Godhead, the origin and the supreme Lord of all living entities. You have arisen to disseminate the rays of the sun in order to dissipate the darkness of the ignorance of the universe.
Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations.
We'll come back, go to text 11, translation.
Devahuti continued, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person of whom to take shelter. You are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you, who are the greatest of all transcendentalists, and I acquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman and between spirit and matter.
Okay, let's go back to text 10. We'll read the Sanskrit. Athame deva sammoham apakratsum tvamarhasi yo vagrahoham mametyiti etasmin yojitastvaya athame deva sammoham apakrashtum tvamarhasi yo vagrahoham ametiti etasmin yojitastvaya. Somebody want to chant? Atame deva sammoham Akstum tvamarhasi Titi Tasmin yojitastvaya. Athame deva sammoham Apakrashtum tvamarhasi Yo vagraho hammameti etasmin yojitastvaya. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This is the word for word translation. Atha, now. Me, my. Deva, O Lord. Sammoham, delusion. Apakrashtum, to dispel. Tvam, you. Arhasi, be pleased. Ya, which. Avagraha, misconception. Aham, I. Mama, mine. Iti, thus. Iti, thus. Etasmin, in this. Yojita, engaged. Tvaya, by you. Translation. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequently bodily relations. Somebody wants to read the purport?
The false ego of identifying one's body as oneself and of claiming things possessed in relationship with this body is called Maya. In Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, the Lord says, I am sitting in everyone's heart, and from me comes everyone's remembrance and forgetfulness. Devahuti has stated that false identification of the body with the self and attachment for possessions in relation to the body are also under the direction of the Lord. Does this mean that the Lord discriminates by engaging one in his devotional service and another in sense gratification? If that were true, it would be an incongruity on the part of the Supreme Lord. But that is not the actual fact. As soon as the living entity forgets his real constitutional position of eternal servitorship to the Lord and wants instead to enjoy himself by sense gratification, he is captured by Maya. This capture by Maya is the consciousness of false identification with the body and attachment for the possessions of the body. These are the activities of Maya, and since Maya is also an agent of the Lord, it is indirectly the action of the Lord. The Lord is merciful. If anyone wants to forget him and enjoy this material world, he gives him full facility, not directly but throughout the agency of his material potency. Therefore, since the material potency is the Lord's energy, indirectly it is the Lord who gives the facility to forget him. Devahuti therefore said, my engagement in sense gratification was also due to you. Now kindly get me free from this entanglement.
By the grace of the Lord, one is allowed to enjoy this material world. But when one is disgusted with material enjoyment and is frustrated, and when one sincerely surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord is so kind that he frees one from entanglement. Lord Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, first of all surrender, and then I will take charge of you and free you from all reactions to sinful activities. Sinful activities are those activities performed in forgetfulness, of our relationship with the Lord. In this material world, activities for material enjoyment which are considered to be pious are also sinful. For example, one sometimes gives something in charity to a needy person with a view of getting back the money 4 times increased. Giving with the purpose of gaining something is called charity in the mode of passion. Everything done here is done in the modes of material nature, and therefore all activities but service to the Lord are sinful. Because of sinful activities, we become attracted by the illusion of material attachment, and we think, I am this body. I think of the body as myself, and of bodily possessions as mine. Devahuti requested Lord Kapila to free her from that entanglement of false identification and false possession.
Sure. Amazing purport. So the last thing that Prabhupada is saying, right? He's saying, I am this body. By the illusion of material attachment, we think, I am this body. I think of the body as myself and of bodily possessions as mine. Does anybody remember what verse Prabhupada is paraphrasing here? Yeah, this is a very famous verse. This is from Rishabhadev, that Rasraj Prabhu was saying. This is the very basis of... Yeah, I'm going to say that now. I'm building it up to the verse. So this is the very reason why Rishabhadev says the entire material existence is there, is present. And this is the verse. This is 5:5:8. So, Pumshastriya mithuni bhavametam tayor mito hridaya granthi mahu ato griha kshetra sutapta vrittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. This is it. Aham mameti. Me and I. And why does that happen? Rishabhadev says, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. This is it. This is Pumsha Striya Mithuni Bhava Metam. This is what it is. Between man and woman, this sexual attraction is the basic principle of material existence. And on the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of a male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusion and thinks in terms of I and mine. This is the basic fundamental reason why everything exists, Prabhupada is saying. It's actually amazing how you can look at Prabhupada's, the quotes that he's referring to, the references. They're not any random references Prabhupada is giving. It is the reference for that particular argument that he's trying to make. Because this is Devahuti's situation, right? She was completely in this situation with Kardama Muni, where he was thinking, oh, my husband, my home, I need my sons, my daughters, and my relatives. And this is how it starts. Everything starts from the attraction between a man and a woman, right? And from that, okay, so it's me and my wife now. And then me, my wife, and my house, right? Okay, me, my wife, my house, and my children. And me, my wife, my house, my children, okay, my relatives also now. It's not just, and everything that's attached to me. And then everything revolves around Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. It's me and mine. It's me and mine. And from that perspective, we try to enjoy. That's why everything is me and mine, right? I don't really care about children in Africa. Few people might, but they're not really my children. I care about my own children because they're coming out of me. It's my wife, my house. Everything that's attached to me is very, very dear to me. But for Devahuti to ask this question, something has happened to her. She was in this mindset, right? Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. What happened to her? What does Devahuti say that happened to her that is asking her, that is actually going through the sequence of questions? Why is she asking? Something has happened in her life. She was in this mindset, right? Me, my wife, my husband, my children. But then something has transformed in her for her to ask this question to Kapila Dev. What does Devahuti say happened to her in the verses that we read? Something that's very stark that she says. This is text 7. She says, Devahuti said, I'm very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I've fallen into the abyss of ignorance. And Prabhupada writes in this purport, unless one becomes tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear transcendental messages from a person like Kapila Dev. So the sense enjoyment that Devahuti had was extraordinary. We haven't even scratched the surface of the kinds of sense enjoyment that Devahuti and Kardama Muni had, which meant it should have been amazing, right? But she says, I'm sick of this disturbance. She treats these things as disturbances that have come to her. And unless we come to this platform where we think, oh, these senses are really disturbing me, and this is at least in the mode of goodness, right? You really cannot start hearing about Krishna. Because in the mode of passion, what are we trying to do? Yeah, we're trying to enjoy. Hey, I want to get more, do more. I'm really trying to satisfy my senses. In the mode of ignorance, it's very painful. It's not even good for us. But in the mode of passion, at least we think, oh, fine dining restaurants, nice movies, good friends, right? Nice big homes. Oh, I'm really fine enjoyment. We're trying. But then at one point, we come to this realization, this is just a disturbance. This is not really making me happy. And from that point, we start inquiring. This is where it starts. Atato Brahma Jignasa. This is where actual human life starts. And then she's recognizing that whom she has to ask this question also. Right? Okay, I've come to this point of realization. Does it mean that I can go and get an answer for my problems from anywhere? No. She's realizing something very specific and saying to Kapila Dev that your lordship is the only means of getting out of this darkest region of ignorance. This is her intelligence, because she was not an ordinary person also, right? Although she might have been in this Maya that she herself is saying, she was not an ordinary person. Her intelligence is kicking in. And Prabhupada quotes this famous verse from the 15th chapter, right? Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So this is the first part that he's quoting again and again. Many, many times you can see that everything, sarvasya chaham, desires and remembrances and forgetfulness comes from Krishna, from within the heart. And here she says, I've forgotten you because of you, Krishna. But Prabhupada is explaining very clearly how it is. It's not that Krishna wants us to forget him, right? When we are trying to enjoy the senses, Krishna facilitates that by giving us forgetfulness of him. This is how Krishna is giving us forgetfulness of him. It's not because he wants us to put in misery. He wants us to be constantly in this turmoil of sense gratification. But because it's our own desire that, oh, I want to be separate from Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says, okay, if that's what you want, you can be that. And slowly, when we are disgusted by this and we take that one step, Krishna immediately gives us this entire remembrance. And you see from Devahuti that, okay, the minute she was really disgusted with these sense disturbances, Krishna gives us the remembrance that, oh, Lord Brahma asked you to go and talk to Kapila Dev. No? You please go and talk to him. She gets that remembrance from within the heart. And then she recognizes Kapila Dev or his representative. This is our place to go and ask questions. Right? We can either ask directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead if we have access to him, like Devahuti herself. But if you're not so fortunate, we are even more fortunate than Devahuti, where we get a representative of Krishna himself, who's a bona fide representative, who can actually remove our ignorance. Ajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya. Right? All our problems, all our miseries are due to just one thing. Prabhupada says this in the purport. What is it that's causing all our ignorance? Okay, I gave it away. Everything that's causing our misery is due to ignorance, right? Rupa Goswami says this. Every problem that we have in this world is due to one thing. It's avidya. It's ignorance. We don't know what's happening, right? We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. We don't know how to act in this particular circumstance, and we act in that capacity with complete ignorance. And therefore, we get into this incredible cycle of we act, it causes sinful reactions, and then we have to come back to experience the sinful reactions of the sinful actions that we have committed. And that in turn enforces this mentality to commit sinful reaction. That's the problem. If it was just that I've committed something, or I come to experience whatever sinful activities I've committed and it's done, it's not a problem. But this is a very vicious cycle where once I've experienced the reactions, my mind's inclination to commit those sinful reactions gets reinforced. So therefore I commit sinful activities again. And then this is the entire cycle of skuta, bija, prarabdha, it's like this entire cycle of karma ensues. And therefore, the only way we can get out of this is either surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, like Krishna says, or to the bona fide representative, and which is what Devahuti is doing. Although Kapila Dev might be her son, she's taking him to be her spiritual master. And this is why we should go to the spiritual master. It says, tad vijñātam sagurum evabi gachet, right? Or tasmat gurum prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. This is why we have to go to the spiritual master. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta. Therefore, go and surrender to a spiritual master. For what? So that I can say, oh, give me more wealth. Oh, what can I do with the problems of my life? Not that. Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. We have to go and inquire about Uttama. Comes from this word. Tama means ignorance. Uttama means dispel ignorance. It's beyond ignorance. It's transcendental. It's the best. Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. Not anything that's better than ignorance. Something that's called Shreya. This word Shreya is an amazing word in Sanskrit. And the opposite of this word is what, Prayas. You have this word Shreyas and you have this word Prayas. Prayas means something that you do in the short term that's very enjoyable. But in the long term, it's not really very helpful. I give this example very often. If you eat donuts, in the short term, it's very, very nice. If you keep eating them on a daily basis, in the long term, it's not very good for you. I really like sweets, but if I eat sweets constantly, in the short term, you're really enjoying. Oh, the donuts are so nice. But then you're going to get diabetes if you keep eating them on a regular basis. Or Prayas means, or Shreyas means, something in the short term which is not very nice for us. It's very hard for us to do it. But in the long term, it's going to give us great benefit. Right? And, okay, I've taken enough donuts for today. It's hard for me to stop, but I'm going to stop. And in the long run, it's good for me. In the short term, it might not really be good for me. But the kind of Shreyas that we are going to inquire from the Guru is not whether I can take donuts now or not. But the Shreyas that we are inquiring from the Guru is, how can I get out of this ignorant situation that I am in? That is what the Guru is there for. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seveya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. He's there to give us knowledge. Chakkudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu say divya jnan hriday prakashito. He gives knowledge for us, right? We've been in darkness. This is why we go to the Guru. And the process is surrender. This is what Prabhupada says in the purport also. Okay, we are in this ignorance, and when we come to this point where we are disgusted with all our material disturbances, then we go to the Guru, and then we inquire from him, and then not just stop at that. The inquiry comes much later. What precedes inquiry? Yeah, surrender and service. Tatvidhi pranipatena, that's the first, right? Pariprashnena comes later. So the first thing is we go and surrender. Prabhupada is quoting Krishna. Sarva dharman paridyaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami masucha. Krishna says this. Surrender everything and do not fear. Krishna is giving us, we spoke about this last time also, the fearlessness that we are expecting in this world, because this is the natural position of this world, is that we are always constantly fearful of when things will be taken away from us. So in order for us to get that fearlessness, we need shelter. We need shelter for somebody who can actually uplift us from this miserable existence that we are all in. So therefore we surrender to Krishna. And we surrender to Krishna through a bona fide spiritual master. This is the process. And when we surrender to Krishna through a bona fide spiritual master, then Ajnana Timirandasya happens. We are in this incredible ignorance, and then Jnananjana Shalakya, the spiritual master, removes this ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. This is the amazing quality of a spiritual master. And and Vishwanath Chakravarti is very, very clear on how important the spiritual master is, right? We sing every single day in the morning. What is the importance of spiritual master? Okay, the 8 verses are Guru Ashtakam. It's all the importance of spiritual master. But specifically, he says about the mercy of the spiritual master, right? Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. If you want to get the mercy of Krishna, of Bhagavan, you need to get the mercy of the Guru. If you don't have the mercy of the spiritual master, you cannot get the mercy of Krishna. So this is who we surrender to. We surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and serve the spiritual master and inquire from him submissively. That is the process. Then we can get out of this position of janasya mohoyam aham mameti. He's giving us this knowledge through which we can pull ourselves out of this world. So, and especially on this topic of surrender, right? Today is such a special day. This is Diwali, you know. And what is Diwali? Everybody knows what is Diwali, no? So Lord Ramachandra is coming back to Ayodhya. And the residents of Ayodhya have been away from him for how many years? 14 years. He's been banished from his kingdom. He says, you cannot be here. You cannot be the king. He was the heir apparent, right? He was going to take over his kingdom, and all the preparations were getting ready, and he said, no, you can't do it. So then he goes away for 14 years and then comes back to Ayodhya. And all the residents of Ayodhya are waiting for Lord Ramachandra. And they are lighting lamps throughout the streets in their houses so that they can tell Ramachandra, he's flying, right? Like you see in these airports, you have all these lights that tell the airplane where to land. So it's... Yeah, everything originates in the spiritual world, right? So, I wanted to read just this one purport that encapsulates this entire pastime of Lord Ramachandra, especially in Srila Prabhupada's purports. Where does Lord Ramachandra's pastime take place in the Bhagavatam? Good guess. You get one more chance. It's 9. It's Canto 9, just before Krishna, na? Is going through Lord Ramachandra in Canto 9. And Shukadeva Goswami doesn't really spend too much time. He says, oh Parikshit Maharaj, you've heard this story so many times. If you are from India, it is said that you cannot figure out the first time you heard about Lord Ramachandra. Think about it. Or if you've been in the movement, if you're born in the Krishna conscious movement, think about when you heard about Lord Ramachandra for the first time. You can never know it because it's there in the blood. It's there as part of our lives where we're constantly hearing about Lord Ramachandra's stories. Now, so Shukadeva Goswami doesn't really go in detail in the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. He said, oh Parikshit Maharaj, you know about this already, so I'm just going to summarize this entire thing. But what we're going to read is not from the 9th canto. It's from the 5th canto, where from this Jambudvipa, this big island is there, and there are different residents in these different islands of Jambudvipa, and they're offering prayers to their own Ishtadevas, right? Where Prahlad Maharaj is offering his prayers to Nrsingadev, and other residents of, I forget the planets, are offering their prayers to Kurmadev, Varahadev, like that. And there is this one planet called Kim Purusha Varsha. Purusha means man, right? Kim means what? What? Are you a man? So these are the places where the monkeys are there with Hanumanji. And they look like men, but they're not really human beings. So Kim Purusha Varsha, that's their planet. And Hanumanji is praying to Lord Ramachandra in these verses. And Prabhupada's purport to one of these verses is incredible, that completely encapsulates the different flavors of Lord Ramachandra. You know? So this is, you can pick this if you can. This is Canto 5, Chapter 19, and this is Text 5. This is the translation. The previous verses are also very, very beautiful, but this is the purport I want to read. It was ordained that Ravana, chief of the Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man. For this reason, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach mortal beings that material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. He is the self-sufficient Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nothing is lamentable for him. Therefore, why else could he be subjected to tribulations by the kidnapping of Mother Sita? And Prabhupada will answer Hanumanji's question in his purport. Why is Lord Ramachandra being tribulated, right? When the Lord appears in this universe in the form of a human being, he has two purposes. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam, to destroy the demons and to protect the devotees. To protect the devotees, the Lord not only satisfies them by his personal presence, but also teaches them so that they will not fall down from devotional service. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra taught the devotees that it is better not to enter married life, which is certainly followed by many tribulations. this is the first thing that Lord Ramachandra's life, Prabhupada says, is teaching us. So we understand how many tribulations Lord Ramachandra went through. If you see the Ramayana, the times that Lord Ramachandra and Sita were happy was very, very few. Like very few years they were very happy. Throughout their lives, it was constant sorrow throughout the entire Ramayana. So the first thing for people who are in this stage of Vairagya, right, the yogis, Lord Ramachandra is saying, oh, if you want to be detached, better be detached. Because you know when you get into this, it's going to be this entire ebbs and flows, right? This is the first thing. And he quotes this famous verse from Prahlad Maharaj, right? Yanmai tunadi grihamedi sukham ki tucham khandu yanena karayori vadukka dukkam Tripyanti neha kripana bahu dukkha bhajan khandutivan manasijam vishaheta dhira. This is Prahlad Maharaj. Kripanas who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge and who are therefore just the opposite of Brahmanas generally take to family life, which is a concession for sex. Thus they enjoy sex again and again. Although that sex is followed by many tribulations, this is a warning to devotees. To teach this lesson to devotees and to human society in general, Lord Ramachandra, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, underwent a series of tribulations because he accepted a wife, Mother Sita. Lord Ramachandra underwent these austerities, of course, only to instruct us. Actually, he never has any reason for lamenting anything. This is the first one. Prabhupada says, another aspect of the Lord's instructions is that one who accepts a wife must be a faithful husband and give her full protection. Human society is divided into two classes of men, those who strictly follow the religious principles and those who are devotees. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra wanted to instruct both of them how to fully adopt discipline of the religious system and how to be a beloved and dutiful husband. Otherwise, he had no reason to undergo apparent tribulations. One who strictly follows religious principles must not neglect to provide all facilities for the complete protection of his wife. There may be some suffering because of this, but one must nevertheless endure it. That is the duty of a faithful husband. By his personal example, Lord Ramachandra demonstrated this duty. Lord Ramachandra could have produced hundreds and thousands of Sitas from his pleasure energy, but just to show the duty of a faithful husband, he not only rescued Sita from the hands of Ravana, but also killed Ravana and all the members of his family. Right? This is the second aspect, where, okay, if you first option you have, okay, you better don't get into married life, right? Because you're going to go through these tribulations. Be prepared for it. It's not a happily ever after. The story ends there, right? But the story never really ends there after marriage. You have life in front of you. And Lord Ramachandra demonstrates this example that once you've taken up this responsibility, you cannot just walk away from it. You have to go through. He goes to the extent where he creates an entire army of monkeys and wages a war and then rescues his wife, right? Like Prabhupada is saying, Lord Ramachandra is Lakshmi Sahasra Satashambra Maseviyaman. Thousands of Lakshmis and millions of Lakshmis are there. So he could have created another one. This is a very clear instruction to somebody who takes responsibility, right? Of a husband or parents. When somebody is there under you, it doesn't matter what troubles that are coming in your life, you have taken up that responsibility. You cannot just quit midway. And Lord Ramachandra demonstrates that. He goes to such an extent to save Mother Sita, who had taken shelter of Lord Ramachandra, right? And the last one that Prabhupada says is another aspect of the teachings of Lord Ramachandra is that although Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his devotees may apparently suffer from material tribulations, they have nothing to do with such tribulations. They are mukta purushas, liberated persons. Under all circumstances, it is therefore said in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Yatha deka vaishnavera vyavahara dukha nishchaya janiha tata paramananda sukha. A Vaishnava is always firmly situated in transcendental bliss because of engagement in devotional service. Although he may appear to suffer material pains, his position is called transcendental bliss in separation, viraha. The emotions of a lover and beloved feel when separated from one another are actually very blissful, although apparently painful. Therefore, the separation of Lord Ramachandra from Sita Devi, as well as the consequent tribulation they suffered, is but another display of transcendental bliss. That is the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The third aspect Prabhupada is saying is for the devotees. The first one he's saying is for people who are vairagis, right, who are renunciates, like you better don't get into it. The second aspect he's saying, okay, you've gotten into it, you better take up that responsibility and fulfill it properly. And the third one is for the devotees, he's saying. From the perspective of the outside world, Ramayana is not a very happy story. Oh, Sita Devi is going to the forest, she's banished, Lord Ramachandra is banished, Bharata is, like every character in the Ramayana, if you see, is so much, full of so much sorrow. But on the outside is sorrow, but internally it is in complete bliss, Prabhupada is saying, because this is bliss in separation, this is viraha, right? Once you're in union, you know this person, and once you separate from this person, you're constantly thinking about that person, right? When you're falling in love for the first time, you can see this, you cannot but think about but the person that you're loving. Always, constantly. You're not together, but you're constantly thinking about that person. And it's only giving you bliss, right? This is what Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi were feeling. And in fact, the residents of Ayodhya and Lord Ramachandra, externally, it might seem like they were completely suffering. But this is the bliss that the residents of Ayodhya were having. This viraha, this separation from the Lord. And they were eagerly looking forward to the reunion with their Lord on this very day of Diwali, where they were waiting so that they could see the Lord of their hearts. And the residents of Ayodhya were not ordinary people, right? Lord Ramachandra took the entire residence. Not one person was left. He took everybody back home, back to Godhead. And that's how exalted these devotees in Ayodhya were. And today is the day that they were eagerly looking forward to reuniting with their Lord. So like that, we can also pray today to Lord Ramachandra to be reunited with him, to open our hearts, light our hearts with lamps, so he can come and stay in our hearts forever. This is Diwali today. It's a very, very happy day where Lord Ramachandra is coming back home after being banished from his kingdom. So happy Diwali, everybody. And we have a few minutes before the feast. If you have any questions or comments or reflections on Diwali or anything that we have read, we can take. Raj Prabhu, want to say something? Yeah?
What do you want me to say?
Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion, I guess. It's not easy. Yes, I mean, Devahuti starts with this whole discussion with Kapila Muni saying, giving up attachment to sense gratification is not easy to give up. But it is possible only when we understand the beauty and the mercy of the Lord. But one thing that I keep contemplating is that even when being a devotee, the process of surrender is not a one-time thing.
Yes.
It's a constant thing. It's an every moment thing, that I have a choice every moment whether I want to surrender or not.
Yeah.
And the difficulty is that most moments I forget that I have to surrender. I have to I need the mercy of the Lord to move on. But even because as devotees, we kind of think, okay, we have done it. Wearing a dhoti, wearing a tilak, whatever. We are done. But actually, and then it might be years and years and years and years and years before, at least for myself, come to the understanding that it's not, that I'm done. I have to keep constantly remembering the mercy of the Lord.
Yeah.
Which is when, you start really, not just questioning, but really questioning with the intent of saying, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Ever increasing mess that I'm creating myself.
Yeah, I remember when Keshav Maharaj was here, he was saying we need more examples of walking theology, live theology, right? People who embody the theology that we are speaking. And when we are in the association of such people who embody the theology, not just speak the theology, but who embody this theology, then that's what gives us an impetus, isn't it? That's what I've seen. When I am with such people who are in that position where they're living what they're saying, then I get this, oh, I also want to be like this, you know. That probably gives us an impetus to get out of our comfort zone and then try to do a little bit more, because that's where I want to be. All these exalted devotees we have in this movement, even in our own community, we have such amazing devotees, and we get their Sangha, and then we see walking theologies. And then that gives us this impetus. You know, and again, it's not a process of negation, no? It's not like I don't... It's more my attachment to Krishna. My focus is more, how can I be more attached to Krishna? How can I be more attached to my seva? How can I be more conscious of what I'm doing? And then you have this verse now. What is that? Hunger. I forget the verse. Bhaktir pareshanubhavam viraktir anyatra. It says that this bhakti is like that, where it's like hunger. When we are hungry, we eat food. And then three things happen as a result. The hunger is gone, we are satisfied, and we get nourishment from the food. Right? Like that, slowly it is said that our hunger for material sense enjoy gratification will slowly go away as we perform bhakti. It will naturally fade away, because through bhakti, that hunger is satisfied through bhakti, and then we are nourished through bhakti, and we are completely satisfied. Susukam. We are very joyful and satisfied in that position. So the endeavor is more to focus on bhakti.
So let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Always keeps troubling me.
Okay.
So this is with respect to Mother Sita. Right? So when she asked Ram to go out looking for a deer.
Yeah.
Right. It's really amazing, this whole pastime. It's Lakshman is telling Lord Ram, and also, this cannot be a deer. I've seen your entire creation. This ain't one of them. All these species that you have created, this isn't one of them.
Yeah.
And Mother Sita says, no, please get me this deer for me. And Lord Ram relents, and he actually does go out, almost as if being an illusion. Why?
Again, this exactly goes to what Prabhupada's purport is, right? We can see it in two levels, two different ways. One is this incredible attraction, or the Maya, that this world presences. That we might think we are in such amazing positions, but still it has a way to capture us. On externally speaking, if we don't know who Lord Ramachandra and Sita are, just in the context of a husband and wife, and the wife really pining for a deer, and the husband trying to satisfy the love of his life, doesn't really apply the intelligence, and then doesn't say, no, this is not it, but goes, and then we see how much suffering that can happen, right? But the second level that Prabhupada is saying, as devotees, we see that this is the Leela of the Lord, and Mother Sita completely knows, okay, now the time has come where Lord Ravana has to be vanquished. And that's the second level. Okay,